Thank you so much, Dr. Quinn, for joining us for another segment here of Millennial Matters, the virtual edition, because things are so different now. It's so good to see you today.
Hey, it's good to be here. Now, look, I know I'm aged out. I'm not a millennial, but I'm a fan. My wife is a millennial, so I'm a millennial fan.
That's it, man. And I know you're going to provide us with some great details today. We're talking about the NBA bubble. It's so different this year. Let's talk about that, man.
Well, here's the deal. A lot of people are just spazzing out. I mean, people are upset. My dad, he called me and he was cursing on the phone. And I'm like, Dad, I'm nobody. I can't make decisions for the NBA, but he wants to watch the game. He wants to see LeBron. I'm like, Dad, I'm not in charge of all this. But a little bit later, I got some news. The NBA, they're going to resume. It is going to happen. And what happened was, the NBA leadership, they're working very closely with medical professionals. And they got together and they brainstormed and they came up with a 113-page document. And with this document, it has a lot of protocols, it has a lot of guidelines, and the whole purpose is so that the players can resume the NBA season 2019-2020 and complete it all the way through the playoffs. But one of the protocols is, now this is going to sound sad, poor guys, they're going to be housed at the Orlando, Florida Disneyland Resort.
That's going to be fun. That's going to be fun, man. I think I'll have
I know, right? I know. I wish I could play basketball, but I have no skills, so I'll not be able to go with these guys. But it's the happiest place on earth.
Yes.
So hopefully LeBron James will be the happiest place on earth doing the happiest thing, which is winning another championship for LA, baby.
Let's see if it happens, man. Let's see. I know we got some out there.
It's the happiest place on earth. It's inevitable. It's inevitable.
So with this NBA bubble going on, I know things are completely different. There are pros and cons to this. I was reading a report earlier today. One of the players had to go or had to leave the bubble because of a family emergency. But let's deal with the pros and cons of this, man.
Right. Well, let me just hit you with this. How do they come and how do they go? How does it work, right? Well, the way it works is when the players got there, because they're currently there now, they're practicing, and the first game is July the 30th. That's the first game, so they're practicing. But when they arrived, they had to stay in their rooms for 48 hours, and they had to do 2 tests. For the COVID-19, when the tests were determined negative, they could leave their room. Okay. Now there are 3 ways you can leave the actual Disneyland resort ground. The first way you can leave is you get in the playoffs and you get eliminated. That's going to happen to most of the teams other than the LA Lakers at the end. Okay. Now the second way you can leave is you can get what's called approved leave, and that's if you have like a sick family member or maybe your wife is having a baby. You can leave at that point. And then when you return, now note, while you're gone, wherever you are in the world, you could be in Brazil or Atlanta, Georgia, or wherever you are, you have to get tested every day by a testing site where you are. And then when you return, you have to stay in your room quarantined for 4 days and get tested each day. And when they're negative, you can be released from your room and get back out there and play again. Now, if you get unexcused leave, which is the third way you can leave, you leave, but it's not excused, okay? When you get back, if they let you come back, then you have to stay in your room for 10 days. And you have to get tested each day of those 10 days. And if it's negative, you can get back and play. But you're going to be losing a lot of money because I assume they're not going to be paying you while you're gone. So I doubt a lot of people are going to leave unexcused. But the deal is, I also wanted to note, while they're there, they can leave the room once they're, they've been quarantined. But they have to wear a mask, and they also have to stay 6 feet away from everybody at all times, except during game time and practice time. And it's not that bad. I mean, they can go on the trails, they can swim in the pools, they can play golf. I mean, they even can ride the rides after hours. And then
I was looking at some of their blogs on YouTube, and it seemed like they're having a blast, man. It sounds like it's a bad deal, because you got to stay in this confined area. But I mean, these guys are having the time of their life, man. Like, I've watched some of the blogs on YouTube.
Well, let me just hit you with this now. I mean, they are having a good time. I mean, they even have a licensed barber and a licensed hair braider. So they can get their hair cut or get the braids looking all fresh and stuff.
Hey,
But one thing
I want to
I'm
challenge you, Dr. Quinn, really quick to get some braids.
where they gonna
You can get a piece on top of your head.
maybe I can get some of them kind you glue in the top of your head, like Shamar Moore gets some Medea Perry movie. You know Medea, Tyler Perry. You know he has some glued up on his head. It looks so fake. But check this out. Now here's the part that would kill me. You ready? Now the family members, including the wives and children, they can't come until August the 30th. That's the second round of the playoffs. So a lot of the teams will already be gone. But the deal is, we're talking 50 days. 50 days that these men have not seen their wives or their girlfriend. Look, I could not go 50 days without seeing my wife, brother. Man, look, I'd be so aggressive out there on the court. They'd be like, Dr. Quinn, man, you phoning everybody. I just be like, hey, man, I got to see my wife, man. So
yeah,
I wouldn't make the 50 days. But these guys, they have a lot of discipline. And on August the 30th, they can get guests to include family members like their wife and kids, but the family members have to go through a very strict protocol as well in order to come visit, and that's going to be tough. But just note, there will be no fans. So when they play the games, it's just the teams, the media, the filming people, your referees, but there are no fans. So just be aware that it's going to be a little bit different this year, but it's gonna happen.
Right, and I guess that's a good thing for those NBA fans. They still get to watch something, they still get to see something, But when we talk about this is something that keeps people safe. Again, like we're talking about wearing masks and keeping yourself safe from anything that could possibly come to you.
Right.
If we can, let's talk about those pros and cons. Yeah. Because the deal is, although it sounds like it's a bad deal, it's really to keep them safe. But while they're being safe, they're still having fun, Oh
yeah, I mean, the bottom line is, like you said, it's all about being safe. And I want to note that the staff of Disney, to include like the cooks, the housekeepers, and all these, now they can go home at night and come back, but they have to wear masks, they have to wear gloves, and they have to maintain 6 feet from the players at all times. And every day they have to do temperature checks, they have to do symptom checks. So, I mean, they have this thing very tight, but like you said, it's all about safety. And the NBA knows that coronavirus is not anything to be playing with. I mean, the bottom line is we got to be on top of this thing, because if the NBA players, contract coronavirus, which some have, then they won't be able, they won't be eligible to play because they don't want to give it to the other players. So they're really serious about this. And plus, they care about these players. Coronavirus normally doesn't adversely affect as much young, healthy people like the basketball players. But there have been some scenarios where even young people have gotten very sick. And some young people have lost their lives, and NBA understands that. So they're going to protect the NBA players because they're looking at the big picture. And I actually did a story yesterday about a vaccine that might be ready in October. And if we get this vaccine, hey, we can get through this rough spot. So we just got to be patient and understand that things are going to get better. But in the meantime, we have to put safety before everything.
And like you said, safety before anything. So I guess in the meantime, the NBA player or NBA fans get a chance to still see some games, and they still get a chance to kind of see the season still kind of.
Right. But let me hit you with one more thing that I really like, because I did a lot of studying this time. And they're going to be doing Zoom viewings of the game. So when LeBron James, he come around like that, he come around and he tear it. Basically, what's gonna happen is you'll see people in their Zoom in their house like, going off, and it'll show on this big old screen inside of the actual stadium. So even though the fans aren't physically there, they'll be showing random fans through Zoom on the big screen. So when LeBron does it, LeBron, he a showboat. He can just look up and do like that to the screen, and he'll actually be interacting with the fans, and we'll be able to see it on the television set, so the fans will still be a part of the game.
So, and that's the best part about this for those fans, that they can still be a part of something. And again, like I said, all they got to do is go to YouTube. They can see a lot of the basketball players, they're blogging by the day, by the by the second. They're blogging, they follow the social media, they're posting, literally almost by the second they're posting. So they're still able to be a part of something great. And this is still monumental. You know, this is something that has never happened before. So these guys are amongst history, if I can say that much. So thank you so much.
It's never happened before. You know, a lot of things are happening. But another thing we have to realize is during this time, you know, it's a very difficult time. This is a time when people that are strong, like leadership such as yourself, you come up with alternative ways to get things done. But at the end of the day, we're still getting it done. We're getting the information out there. NBA players are playing these games, so my dad won't just spaz out and go jump off a bridge or something. But at the end of the day, people rise to the occasion, and that's what the world is doing right now. We're rising to the occasion, and we're not going to let this COVID-19 keep us down.
That's good. Well, maybe next week, if you have time, maybe I can go get a basketball and we can have a virtual one-on-one game No, I'm kidding. Never mind, I'm kidding. But thank you so much, Dr. Quinn, for your time here on Millennial Matters Talk Show, where we deal with topics that matter to all millennials. Thank you so much for your time.
Hey, thank you for having me, man.